Healthcare can feel complicated. That's why Optum uses technology to connect the people and processes that make healthcare easier, more affordable, and more effective. We're making it clearer for you to know exactly what your benefits cover. And to help you better manage your health, we're coordinating care between your doctors and your technology. We believe better, simpler healthcare is always possible. That's healthy optimism. That's Optum. Visit Optum.com to learn more.
This summer, FanDuel is the best place to bet on goals.
Including equalizers? Volleys?
Yep.
Headers?
Every goal is worth more on FanDuel. So, let there be goals. New customers get $350 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5 for 7 days. 21 plus in present and select states. First online real money wager only. Minimum $5 wager required for 7 consecutive days. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET.
You've never been one to settle. Stand down or stand still. You're a lifelong learner, energized by excellence. There's a fire inside you you can't ignore. You've got competition to outrun, momentum to build on, and your own high standards to meet. Stop now? Not a chance. At Capella University, we help you catch what you're chasing because you've always had the drive. Now, go earn the degree. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kilowatt, a podcast about electric vehicles, renewable energy, autonomous driving, and much, much more. My name is Bodie, and I am your host. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about news. So we had 2 earnings calls in a row, and now we're on to news. So let's go ahead and dive in. Last week, Rivian rolled out the R2, their midsize electric SUV, and it looks great. I have not seen one in person, but I'm looking forward to seeing one in person. But last week, great, wonderful week for Rivian, rolling out the R2. This week, they're not so great. They're laying off 300 people, which is just shy of 2% of their 15,232 workforce, if you spread that across North America and Europe. This is in addition to nearly 600 people that they laid off in October. So, around 800 people, which on the whole isn't a lot, but it's still 800 people. And if you're one of those people, it's definitely a painful experience for sure. The one thing that I just hope, right, is a lot of times automotive companies will be like, hey, be one of the first to get our new car. You're an employee. You're the first in line. I hope that some of these people or any of these people, I hope that they didn't buy and take delivery of an R2 only to find out now that they have a vehicle loan, they just lost their job on top of that. Like if that happens, I think Rivian should just cover the entire car for them because that sucks. Because an $58,000 car loan, that's not a cheap monthly payment. So anyway. That was where my head went. Moving on, though, Mobileye is planning on launching a Robotaxi service. So Mobileye build hardware and software for autonomous driving. They were actually the first partner that Tesla had for autonomous driving. And then there was a really bad accident. I think it was in Florida. And, I'm sure Tesla was already working on hardware too by that point, but Elon was very critical of Mobileye. Mobileye blamed Tesla. The partnership went awry. And then not long after that, Intel bought them, and I think they were spun back out and bought by somebody else. I think it's an Israeli company that owns them now. But Mobileye will be launching their own Robotaxi service in 2027. They're going to utilize their Moovit, Moovit mobility platform, and they're expecting to launch with 100 Robotaxis. That sounds like a lot. And not only does that sound like a lot just to start with, like even if they launched in early 2027 and by the end of 2027, I think that would be a lot of robotaxis. But we'll keep an eye on it and let you know how it's going. Their initial launch is supposed to be somewhere here in the United States. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be Tempe and I get to see them. Oh, and in my neighborhood, I saw one of the new Waymo Oh Hey vans, and I immediately went to um, the Waymo app to request it, and I don't know. I had a bunch of other things going, and I couldn't justify taking the ride, especially since there was only one, and there's a bunch of Jaguar I-Paces rolling around, so I had to be like, you know what? I got to do the responsible thing and be an adult and cancel this. And maybe at some point in time when I have more time, I can play the summon the oh hey Waymo vehicle. And hopefully someday I'll get one because really there's still way more Jaguar I-Paces running around than the Zoox vehicles at the moment in my neighborhood or my area. The all-electric version of the Toyota Helix now has a price. So first, the specs. This is going to be a body-on-frame truck, which makes it great. A little bit more heavy-duty. It's good for towing, good for off-roading. All-wheel drive, 278 horsepower. It'll tow about 3,700 pounds. There's an option to select, make changes based on the terrain that you're driving on, which is beneficial, especially when you're off-roading. It'll be able to wade through 27 inches of water. It's going to come with a 59.2 kilowatt hour battery, which is right around 160 miles of range. Toyota says that it's capable of 236 miles of range in the city, which if we convert that to kilometers, we're looking at 257 miles versus 380 miles in the city. Not huge, not a lot of miles. 125 kilowatt DC fast charging capability, 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. It'll have a 12.3 central infotainment screen and another 12.3 driver display. So nice and big, similar to what Kia is using. The price in the UK, it's going to start around 42,000 pounds, which is about 56,000 US. In Australia, it's 75,000 Australian dollars, which again is 51,000 US. And then New Zealand, we're looking at 82,000 New Zealand dollars, which is about 48,000 US. So as this truck is spec'd, I mean, obviously this isn't going to succeed in the US, but as this truck is spec'd, it seems overpriced for what it's delivering. But, you know, every country has different needs. So maybe this will do very well in Australia and New Zealand. You know, it might do well in the UK as well. But I mean, I don't know. This seems like a work truck and not a go out and not like a Rivian, not an adventure truck like Rivian's. This seems more like this is the area that you have to do work, and sometimes you are going to be driving on something that looks like a road but really isn't a road. This is a good vehicle for you, but I mean, again, not a lot of range. So I don't know. A lot of my friends talking about the Helix truck though, for whatever reason, because they're Toyota fans. That's why. And that's all I'll say about that, because you all know my thoughts on Toyota. Tello trucks took a big step forward recently. So if you aren't aware of Tello, I actually interviewed Tello co-founders Jason Marks and Forrest North. Jason's the CEO and Forrest is the CTO. Anyway, Tello is building an adorable little pickup truck. It's very roomy. It's about the size of a Mini Cooper, but it's got 5 seats, a 60-inch bed. For reference, the Rivian has a 55-inch bed, right around there. So, yeah, just a very tiny, efficient truck. Tello has signed with Schwab International to build the MT1, which is Tello's version of this pickup truck, or that's the name of it, the MT1, Mary Tom 1. Schwab International is building the body in white structure for the vehicle. This is the skeleton. This is what everything's going to attach to: glass seats, suspension, and so on. So, I mean, does it mean that this truck is going to enter production? No, but it's closer. And I think they have a lot of really good momentum in terms of what Tello's doing. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing this company progress, and hopefully they are able to put something out. The MT1 will start at $41,520, which gets you a pickup truck with a range of 260 miles. And then there'll be a dual motor version that will get you around 350 miles, but that's going to cost about $56,000, which honestly for a truck's not bad. We're at a point, where prices are pretty expensive. However, you're also looking at, Slate and the new Ford pickup truck. That's going to be less than $30,000. So what is Tello going to bring that is more valuable to most people, right, than to justify paying $28,000 more for a vehicle? And I think, or $26,000 more for a vehicle. And I think some of that might actually be that they have the way that they design this truck, it's going to be roomy inside. That's going to have a 60-inch bed, which a 5-foot bed is pretty decent. Whereas the Slate and the whatever Ford's going to call their electric truck probably won't. I mean, is that super important to you? Then you'll probably spend the extra $28,000 if this truck actually comes out. If it's not super important to you, why would you? You could probably get a really nice decked out Ford, whatever they're calling their affordable truck, for less money. So, I'm excited to see what Ford does. I don't want a super small, tiny truck. I think for me, the Maverick's a little too small. The Rivian R1T is perfect for me. I think for what I would use a truck for. Anything bigger than that is me just being silly, which is, I don't know. I still want the Scout Terra, and that I don't need a truck that big. That's just me being silly, but I really like that truck the way that it looked when I saw it in real life. So, I don't know. We'll see, and best of luck to the Tello folks, because I really did like Jason and Forrest when I chatted with them. They're real nice people. All right. Oh, and we did the interview. Unfortunately, this time I wasn't doing video, but they did the interview facing their little shop. And when I say little, it wasn't very big, but you could see in the background, different things that they were working on and stuff like that. It was just a neat chat.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
Introducing America's Workforce Academy, built by Meta. Paid training, a job, and a path to America's future. Because the future is for everyone. Learn more at meta.com/America's Workforce Academy.
All right, we are on to our last EV story. Not our last story, just the last one that just has to do with general EVs. Recently, we listened to GM's earnings call, and they made a big deal that Chevy was number 2 in sales when it comes to EVs in the U.S., but it looks like Hyundai is moving in on that number 2 spot. So Chevy delivered, I believe this was for April 2026. Chevy delivered 5,890 vehicles, whereas Hyundai delivered 4,936. Now, does that mean that they are close? They're kind of close. They're not super close. But if you add in like Toyota's, not Toyota, geez. If you add in Cadillac's EV sales, that's another 4,000. So GM as a company is around 9,000. Oop, dropped my phone. If you look at Hyundai and Kia, you're looking at just a little over 7,000. So at the moment, right, Chevy's probably, or GM and Chevy, all the GM products, they're probably safe. And Hyundai Motor Group, however, will probably catch up and become number 2 before too long, if I had to guess. But I thought I would go through the top 10 selling EV companies in the United States in April of 2026. So we're starting with Subaru, and they sold 1,959, right? Kia, I already said, sold 2,456. Toyota, 3,524. Rivian sold 3,537. It'd be interesting to see how many vehicles they sold, in on their next earnings call. I know they're ramping up the R2, so I don't expect it to be a lot more than what they typically, but it would sell in a quarter, but I do expect it to be higher. Cadillac sold 4,020. Ford sold 4,033. I'm going to guess, the last remaining Lightnings, and then I don't think they sell their Transit van anymore, and then they have the Mach-E, which a friend of ours has a Mach-E, and he's got a gray one, and man, does it look good. And then Hyundai, like we said, sold 4,936, and Chevy is number 2 at 5,890. Now, that's number, we went through number 2 through number 10, Chevy to Subaru. That's a total of 32,872 EVs sold amongst those 9 companies. Tesla is, of course, number 1. They sold 45,800. So Tesla's still far and beyond the winner when it comes to selling EVs in the U.S., and that's not to be unexpected. We all kind of know that that's the case. But man, when you look at how many they sell versus how many all the other companies in the top 10 sell, if you added up all of the EV sales in the U.S., based on that, all the companies that are selling EVs, Polestar and all this stuff, Lucid, you're probably still at less than what Tesla sells. So pretty impressive, Tesla. All right. So before we move on to our EV news, our Tesla news, we're done with our EV news. I just want to say, if you want to support this show, you can go to supportkilowatt.com. All the money goes to support the show. None of the money goes back into my own pocket. Last week on Saturday, I was not feeling very well at all. Friday, I kind of felt off, but Saturday, I definitely did not feel good. And I spent most of my day in bed, recorded on my laptop, no microphone, nothing, no fancy studio or anything like that. Just recorded straight on my laptop and had my headphones in for monitoring purposes. And then I finished a little bit of it on Sunday outside of a Costco parking lot when I was getting my tire fixed. And a lot of you said that sounded good, that the episode actually sounded pretty good. And I agree, it did. It did sound pretty good. So, but yeah, anyway, the point is no matter, I am sometimes late, but I always have an episode for you. I very, very rarely, if ever, I think I did it once in 2025, will miss an episode. And that I don't think has happened other than the 2025 episode. I don't think that's happened since my dad died in like 2018. I just had to take a little 2-episode, 3-episode break. So yeah, I mean, I am here to provide EV news and autonomous driving and renewable energy. So if you want to support the show, go to supportkilowatt.com. You can support for as little as $1. And that is my pitch. And you can support on Patreon or Supercast, whichever one you're most comfortable supporting with. Some people have asked, do you have a buy me a coffee? And I don't. I don't have like a PayPal link or anything like that. Because I would the benefit of supporting the show is you get an ad-free experience. I don't know how to give you an ad-free experience on those platforms, so I just don't offer them, because I believe if you give money, you should get something for your money. So, all right, let's see here. Tesla news. There was a sighting of a Tesla Semi. This was spotted at a Costco warehouse in Arizona. And the Tesla Semi said Costco on the little sliding door. It looked really cool. It says, the article said that the Tesla was at a Costco warehouse. Well, every retail location is called Costco warehouse. This looks like it was at a distribution center, which I might have lived close by to this distribution center when I first moved to Arizona. So I think I know where it is what I'm saying. But yeah, it looks cool. And if I I live in a completely different part of the city or, metropolitan area now, but if I happen to see one driving around, I'll try and snap a picture. A new report is claiming that Apple is working on the missing link, or may have solved the missing link to get Apple CarPlay on Tesla. So Apple held their worldwide developer conference last week, and 9to5Mac spotted a new feature in CarPlay that could bridge the gap between Tesla and CarPlay, and it is called route sharing. And what it does is it gives the navigation app on your car, it allows the ability to share data from Apple Maps, or it could even be, Google or any other navigation app that's out there. I'm blanking on the other one that's big that Google also owns. But anyway, they can share that information with your car's own personal, or not personal, but it's the car's built-in navigation system. So it wouldn't technically be like Apple CarPlay. However, you would get all of the Apple Maps or whatever car navigation system you're using. You get all of that would look natively on your actual car. So this would be awesome. I don't really care that much about CarPlay. My wife's car has it, and it is nice, but I don't necessarily need it. However, the one area that I don't think Tesla did a very good job on with my car is the navigation system. It's not bad, but it's not great. It is squarely okay. So if this actually works, and this was the only feature that came over, I would be thrilled. So fingers crossed. Hopefully that will actually be the case. All right, moving on. Ex-user Airwave Dynamics flew their drone over Gigafactory, Texas, and found over 100 Cybercabs lined up in a staging area just outside the factory. Now, this is in Austin. In Dallas, ex-user Scott's Rule 08 discovered that there are around 50 Cybercabs lined up. And I've had similar sightings in places like Pittsburgh. So it sounds like Tesla's getting ready to roll out, Robotaxi to more places. I'm sure there's a few in Arizona roaming around. They're just not testing them quite yet. And these are the cars without steering wheel. So pretty cool. And again, we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks or next couple of months here in Arizona. When I went to that Tesla training, I think it was in February, it sounded like it was imminent based on some of the folks that I was talking to, and not just Tesla, but some of the folks that were working with Tesla on city sides, and it's still not here yet. So I would imagine there's probably a lot that has to go on for this to actually work and take off and be successful. So, I'm not in a hurry, but I'm looking forward to trying a Cybercab out. I think it would be neat. Speaking of neat, we also have some specs for the Cybercab, and this is based off of an EPA filing that Tesla filed with the U.S. government. The Cybercab is going to be front-wheel drive, 48 kilowatt-hour battery pack, 326 volt operating voltage, 163 kilowatt electric motor, which will deliver 219 horsepower. The curb weight on this vehicle is 3,113 pounds. And just for reference, the Model Y rear wheel drive is 3,880 pounds, right around there. Depending on what year you're talking about, it could be, it could be a little bit different. The range is 418 miles, which, if true, is fantastic. The Cybercab is, according to Tesla, super efficient. But just to kind of give you a little bit of perspective, the premium rear wheel drive Model 3, it's not the lowest trim, it's the second to lowest trim. But the premium rear wheel drive Model 3 has a range of 363 miles, and that's running off of between a 77 and 80 kilowatt hour battery. So, I mean, if true, if Tesla's actually accomplished this much efficiency out of a 50 kilowatt hour battery or less than 50 kilowatt hour battery, pretty impressive. And Tesla engineers are smart. So I don't doubt Tesla engineers. However, we all know that the Tesla leadership can sometimes exaggerate numbers a little bit. So, yeah, just keep that in the back of your head.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
You've never been one to settle. Stand down or stand still. You're a lifelong learner, energized by excellence. There's a fire inside you can't ignore. You've got competition to outrun, momentum to build on, and your own high standards to meet. Stop now? Not a chance. At Capella University, we help you catch what you're chasing because you've always had the drive. Now, go earn the degree. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
There's a feeling a lot of homeowners share right now. Mortgage, always on time. Lots of equity. On paper, you're doing fine. But then the insurance bill lands. Property taxes, healthcare, childcare, tuition. The math just isn't mathing. Unlock wants to talk about the squeeze American homeowners are feeling and what you can do about it. Start at unlock.com/equity. Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc., NMLS 2657081.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, our final Tesla story, and this is coming out of New Jersey. Tesla is sending New Jersey Tesla owners an email about a bill that it's working through the state's lawmakers' legislation that would block robotaxis in the state of New Jersey. Now, I have not read this bill, so I have no idea if it will or will not block legislation of robotaxis. It might just make it a little bit harder to operate a robotaxi in New Jersey. I don't know. But here's the thing. Tesla sent this email, and I'm going to read it to you because Tesla put it on their website. And, you judge. So it says what you need to know. Legislation moving through Trenton right now, S1677/A3968, would create New Jersey's first autonomous vehicle pilot program. That sounds like progress. It isn't. As written, the legislation imposes restrictions so severely that Tesla's autonomous vehicle technology couldn't operate in the state of New Jersey. Rather than prioritize real safety outcomes and performance, the bill specifically banned Tesla from the New Jersey market. Now, again, I have not read this bill. I don't know if it really does specifically ban Tesla or if they just crafted it in such a way that Tesla falls outside of what their parameters are. But I do find that wording interesting. I highly doubt there would be a lawsuit if immediately, and there's going to be a lawsuit anyway, but there would be a lawsuit immediately if it said, if you're Tesla, you can't do this. I would imagine that the way that the bill is written, that it makes it so that however Tesla has set up their Robotaxi service and their technology stack and all that stuff, it just doesn't work for what New Jersey's got. And is it misguided? I don't know. It very well could be. But when it says, I'm reading it exactly as it's written, the bill specifically bans Tesla from the New Jersey market. Now, had I done, it's already Wednesday on a 5 when I'm recording this. So I'll look it up. I'll look up the bill and see if it specifically bans Tesla, but I doubt that it specifically bans Tesla. I highly doubt that Tesla is named in this bill. Anyway, it goes on. Tesla's little email here goes on to say, this affects real people, parents who want their children to be safe on the commute to school, aging populations that want to maintain their independence. First, parents who want their children to be safe on the commute to school, there's multiple ways for kids to get to school, and one of them happens to be a school bus. The other, and when I don't know if this was technically okay, but when I was driving Uber, like early on when I was doing this podcast and trying to afford the equipment that it takes to do a podcast and sound decent at it, I drove Uber for a little while, or Lyft, and a lot of times people would order an Uber, and there would be a kid there, and the kid would be like, "Oh, I slept in. My mom ordered me this Uber so I can get to school." So it's not as if it's not as if kids are using Ubers. Is it the safest way? Probably not. I don't know if I would do that for my kids. But, there are other programs like Uber has a service specifically for kids where the drivers are vetted. And Waymo, I think, is 14 years old. You have to be to ride in a Waymo. And there's no driver, but you have to be at least 14 to be able to be on a parent's account. So, parents that want their children to be safe on the commute to school, to me, sounds like I would not put my kid especially young kid, in a driverless car and then just let them go to school. Like my kids can take a bus. Most kids can take a bus. And if you, for some reason, live so far out that you can't take a bus in New Jersey, you probably aren't in the Robotaxi service anyway. You're not in that service area. So anyway, aging populations that want to maintain their independence, I'm 100% on board with this. Like, I am 51, not that far away from 52. And when it comes time for me to have to give up my ability to drive, 100%, I would like to have the ability to still get places. When I think of my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa, on one side were like hardcore smoking and drinking and gambling. And for whatever reason, I never associated getting old with them. However, my grandparents on the other side, the grim side, they were old Like my grandpa was 48 when I was born, so he wasn't much older than I am now when I actually have my memories forming of him. And he was always like this little old man. Like my other grandpa on the other side, not in the least. My other grandma on the other side, not in the least. My grandma Grim, she had diabetes and a bunch of health issues, and she always seemed old. And they did old people things like watch black and white movies, which my other grandpa did too. But he had a glass of whiskey and a cigar, and I would sit on his lap and we'd watch black and white movies together. And, it wasn't just, I don't know, it was a different experience. So my thing is I've always kind of been afraid of getting old like my grandparents on the grim side of things. And having the ability to have that independence and still be able to go places, even though you can't drive anymore, I think is so critical. And, you can, fortunately, that exists in some places right now through Waymo and, the Robotaxi in Austin for that. And then there's some other companies out there doing it. But I think that's a valid thing that Tesla's saying there. People with disabilities who hope for mobility options, not few, for more mobility options, not few. Agree with that. Rural communities that lack access to public transportation. Again, I doubt that Tesla's going to be in the rural communities operating in a way that these folks need them to operate. Maybe someday, but not right away. Every arbitrary roadblock is a delay for the people who need this life-changing technology. Most legislation that bans Tesla's proven autonomous vehicle technology from the market is not caution. It's anti-competitive favoritism that will cause New Jersey to fall behind while other states move forward. Here's what that means for you. And then it has safer roads. Delayed. Last year, 578 people were killed in traffic accidents in New Jersey. This is unacceptable. More than 94% of serious crashes are attributed to factors caused by human error, including impairment, distraction, and fatigue. Autonomous vehicles cannot drive drunk, distracted, or drowsy. They can't, but they're not immune to mistakes. I do think they're probably less likely to have them, but it's, they're not perfect. It goes on to say that states that have embraced this technology are already seeing improved safety performance. I would like to see the stats on that. New Jersey residents deserve to experience the safety benefits that autonomous vehicles offer. If passed currently, as written, the bill, which has a lot of numbers, would deprive you of those significant benefits. Again, it sounds like this bill is to put safeguards in place for autonomous vehicles, Robotaxi type services. So I don't see New Jersey not wanting to have Robotaxis. It sounds like New Jersey's like, we want to have safeguards. And again, it sounds like those safeguards do not line up with how Tesla is currently doing business, which is interesting because I don't see a state writing a bill. Well, I don't. It doesn't make sense to me why a state would write a bill that would completely ban Robotaxi type services while not just coming outright and banning it. So, and I don't think, again, that this is specifically targeted to Tesla in the bill. Maybe it's, maybe some lawmaker did get mad at Tesla and targeted them, but it doesn't say that specifically in the bill, or I don't think it does. And again, I'll look it up. Anyway, and if I'm wrong, I will come back on and let you know I'm wrong. Freedom of movement denied. For older and disabled residents who cannot drive, autonomous vehicles aren't merely a convenience. They represent independence, and the bill excludes a pathway for commercial autonomous vehicle deployment, effectively denying New Jersey residents access to reliable, independent transportation option that will significantly improve their mobility and quality of life. The other U.S. states recognize these mobility benefits and are clearing hurdles. New Jersey should do the same rather than create barriers to mobility independence. Again, I go back to that's if you're in the area that these folks live in. Like, this is written as if Tesla just snaps their fingers and there's robotaxis everywhere. And Uber still exists. And when I drove for Uber, I drove plenty of people who are elderly or had mobility issues. Like, there were plenty of times that I was helping folks from my car to get into their doctor office visits because they had such bad mobility issues, and I didn't feel right just leaving them there. So that's what I did. Like, and I wouldn't imagine that, there might be some Uber drivers that just drop you off on the curb and they're like, good luck. But if you could really truly see somebody struggling, taking their bag and helping them get into the office and stuff, the Cybercab's not going to do that. I did that. I have seen other Uber drivers do that. I can't say that everybody does that. Maybe there's some that don't. But if you have a conscience and a soul, I can't imagine that you're not at least helping somebody out a little bit, or at least offering to help. Cybercab can't do that. Smarter, cheaper travel. Blocked. Autonomous vehicles reduce congestion, cut emissions, and offer more affordable transportation option. New Jersey should be leading on this, not legislating against it. Do you know what it cost me to take a Waymo from my house to Trader Joe's? It's about $11. Okay. It's about $9 without the tip. It's about $9 without the tip for me to go from my house to Trader Joe's in a Lyft. I can certainly drive from my house to Trader Joe's much more affordably. And it's about maybe 1.2 miles from my house. It's not far. So is it affordable? No, I don't think so. I don't know what Tesla will be charging, but I do know whatever they were charging in Austin, it's gone up since they first announced, which, is to be expected. But, the smarter, cheaper travel thing, that remains to be seen. Economic boom. Unrealized. I don't know how to make that different than an economic boom. Unrealized. Widespread adoption of autonomous vehicles is expected to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs naturally, many of which do not require college degrees and pay above median wages, which accounts for around $93 billion in additional federal tax revenue, combined with annual reductions in accident-related costs. Autonomous vehicles will create jobs, free up consumer spending, stimulate growth in logistics, retail, technology, and beyond. If passed in current state, these bills will disincentivize autonomous vehicle companies from entering the New Jersey market, instead forced investment in other states. I'm not a good reader. All right. I'm sure autonomous robotaxis will create some jobs. It's also going to take some jobs. I don't think it'll be a net zero. I think it'll be probably a net positive. But what do they say here? Hundreds of thousands of new jobs naturally. I do not think that that's the case. That seems like nonsense. Hundreds of thousands, not hundreds or thousands, hundreds of thousands of new jobs nationally. Did I say naturally? Nationally. Now, it's not to say that there wouldn't, I don't know. I don't think it's going to create that many jobs, autonomous driving. Honestly, it'll create some for sure. I don't think it'll be that many, especially when you offset how many people will be out of work. Because, as much as I like to support folks, I prefer to take a Waymo because not always, it's sometimes cheaper. To be fair, taking a Waymo from my house to the airport was way cheaper than taking a Uber or Lyft. But sometimes taking a Waymo, sometimes I just want to be by myself, basically. Like when I go to work, I work with 9 other people, 8 to 9 other people. And then if it's during the weekday, there could be even more people here on top of that. Sometimes I just don't want to talk to somebody and just want to work on my stuff, and taking a Waymo feels better to me. So I'm saying this as a proponent of autonomous vehicles, but yes, I think that's a little much on Tesla's side here. So anyway, it goes on to say, you can change this, but only if you speak up now. Contact your state legislators today using the tools above. Tell them that you want New Jersey to access safe, proven autonomous vehicle technology, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I think Tesla has a right and a shareholder responsibility to fight this law if it doesn't, or not fight, maybe influence the law to be a little more friendly towards them, or maybe not specific. I don't know. This is sounding very much like government corruption as I'm saying this. I do think Tesla has a right to protect its business, and within the law, influence things that will help them protect their business, as long as it's not illegal. Now, we can argue that some of the things that these companies do and some of the access that just a few $1,000 donation to a politician gives them way more access and an outsized voice than what you and I have as just regular citizens. And I will agree with that. But Tesla does have the right to be upset about it and encourage people to make changes. Now, I did find the bill. There's about the 30-ish pages if you include all the different things that they have. And I'm not going to do that now, but maybe I'll do a special episode specifically on this bill, if you're interested in that kind of thing. And yeah, as far as I can tell, there are no driverless taxis operating in New Jersey. It does sound like Waymo is practicing or testing in Trenton, but they have to have a driver. So it's not even keeping Tesla from testing there, as far as I can tell. Oh, also, I did search for Tesla in the bill, and I searched there's 3 little sections, and I searched all 3 sections, and Tesla does not show up, oddly enough, in any of those sections. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. I just thought it was kind of I thought that the information that they provided was overly slanted towards their own. It felt like they were having a tantrum. If I'm just going to be honest with you, I was like, if Tesla doesn't operate in New Jersey, are people going to survive? And the answer is yes. Will people still be able to get places? The answer is yes. Is it going to cost them a little bit more money? The answer is maybe. We don't know what Tesla's going to charge. And when I say maybe, it might be cheaper in years 1 through 3. And once they're embedded, it might be way more expensive. So it's not a simple, it's just going to be cheaper for people to get around, because the bus is going to ultimately be way cheaper. And I don't care what Elon says, you're not going to get a Cybercab or Robotaxi ride for less than the bus. Again, in the beginning, maybe, but over time, Tesla's going to hit saturation. They're like, okay, now we just turn that lever up and raise the prices. It's just what companies do. And this isn't an altruistic thing for Tesla. This is them actually wanting to make money. And who can blame them for wanting to make money? I just didn't like their note. Anyway. All right, everybody. That is it for me. I went way longer than I thought I would. So Hope you all have a wonderful week. And if you want to email me, you can do so. It's Bodie, BODIE at 918digital.com. You can find me on X at 918digital. And then if you want to, which I'm not on X. I'm on there, but I don't ever really go on there. If you want to interact with me on LinkedIn, I'm Bodie Grimm, BODIE GRIMM. And that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.
Everyone's talking about protein lately, but how do you actually get enough of it? Muscle Milk. Muscle Milk has a great tasting new formula with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or added colors. It's high quality, complete protein designed to support healthy muscles with fewer ingredients than the previous formula and 26 to 42 grams of protein. For when you're stuck in meetings or need a post-workout recovery. Available in chocolate, vanilla cream, cookies and cream, and strawberries and cream. Try the new great tasting Muscle Milk today. Available in stores nationwide. Muscle Milk. Protein for all.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.